What is EXIM Bank?
If you are exporting and you are doing business globally, meaning you are exporting a product or a service, you can qualify for financial assistance from EXIM Bank. And we do that through our export credit insurance policies, as well as our working capital guarantee program.
And now, how can women-owned businesses benefit from EXIM Bank's assistance?
So, Nancy, we like to think that we're not only a benefit to women businesses, but we're a benefit to all businesses. But in particular, EXIM Bank has a strong focus on companies that are owned by women. We have a special unit within EXIM Bank, and their sole focus is to assist companies, to assist minority and women-owned businesses, and it's called the MWOB team for short. And what that consists of is a group of individuals, including myself, who travel throughout the United States, attending different conferences and doing symposiums and webinars and speaking on panels and just participating in different outreach activities to educate these companies on EXIM Bank's programs. And not just educating on EXIM Bank's programs, Nancy, but just giving guidance on doing business internationally as a whole. So often, companies come to EXIM Bank seeking financial assistance, and they may not be quite ready yet. So in those cases, we redirect these companies to the proper agencies and resources that can help them and get them to the point where they can qualify for EXIM Bank's financing. So those are the type of benefits that we provide to these companies, whether you're a minority or a woman or a veteran-owned company. We want to make sure that you have the proper tools to compete and be successful in the overseas market.
Wonderful, thank you. I mean, it's great to hear that in addition to the credit that you facilitate, you also provide these incredible educational resources.
Sure.
So, Toya, you mentioned this unit assists women business owners in utilizing EXIM Bank programs. Would you explain your programs?
Sure. So I'll start with our export credit insurance policies. And what it is, Nancy, is simply a policy to protect exporters against non-payment from a foreign buyer. So if you are exporting and you are offering that buyer terms, and if that buyer defaults on those terms, you will be protected under the policy. I like to tell companies to think of it as your homeowner's insurance or your car insurance, where you have it just in case something happens. You can recover from your loss. And not only is it a form of protection against non-payment, but it can also be used as a marketing tool to attract new buyers because you're offering terms. Buyers, they love terms. It gives them a chance to receive the product, sell the product, and potentially pay the exporter from the proceeds of that product. So the policy is not only a benefit to the exporter, but it's a benefit to the buyer as well. Next, we have our working capital guarantee program, and it works a little different, Nancy, from the policies. So what this is EXIM Bank guarantees the commercial banks on the exporter's behalf that they will repay their loan. So if you are exporting and you have a purchase order or a contract from a foreign buyer, you can qualify for EXIM Bank's guarantee program. We all know how challenging it can be for companies to receive a loan from the commercial banks. But when you have that EXIM Bank guarantee backing, lenders are a little more receptive to giving companies loans. And these funds can be used for labor, supplies, materials, anything relating to the export portion of your company. And also, we have a list of delegated lenders that we work with, and it's listed on our website, and that's at www.exim.gov. And these are a list of commercial lenders that we work with to assist companies in helping them receive a loan. So that's basically how the programs work. The export credit insurance is to ensure non-payment against foreign buyers, and the working capital guarantee is, money so exporters can continue to build and do business.
Wonderful. Those sound like two really, really great resources. So, Toya, can you give us some examples of companies that have benefited from EXIM Bank programs?
Sure. So there are several companies, Nancy, that have benefited from EXIM Bank's financing, but one particular company that comes to mind is a company called Auburn Leather. And they are a woman-owned company, and they manufacture these leather shoelaces. And they came to EXIM Bank because they wanted to offer a buyer that they had in Mexico terms, as well as attract new buyers. So they applied for the policy and they received the policy. And after receiving the policy, they had an increase in demand for their product. And so to ensure that they could continue to build their product and do business, they applied for the working capital guarantee program as well. And Nancy, a lot of times this is what I see happens for these companies. As I said earlier, buyers, they love to be offered, have a chance to pay on credit or terms, if you will. They're business people. They talk to one another and they seek each other advice on doing business with American companies. And so when you can, when they have an American company that can offer them terms, they spread the word. And so as a result of this company using EXIM Bank's programs, they have increased their export sales from $1 million to $20 million in just 2 years. They're now exporting over 45 different countries. And most importantly, Nancy, they have added 20 new jobs to increasing their personnel. And Nancy, that's what it's all about. EXIM Bank's main mission is to create jobs here in the U.S. by increasing export sales. And that's what we're here to do.
Well, that's a really wonderful example of a great success story. I'm sure that the people listening to this interview will be greatly inspired by that. Toya, can I ask you about how long you work with someone? Like this person who you just mentioned, Auburn Leather. Can you give me an idea of how long you worked with them to get them to a point where they were able to increase their sales from 1 million to 20 million in that 2-year period?
Well, we work with the companies continuously, so we don't, after they receive our products, we don't drop them. They continuously apply for the program. I want to touch a little bit, Nancy, on indirect exports. Over the years, from reaching out to different companies, different minority and women-owned and small businesses as well, I find that a lot of these companies are supplying larger corporations. And these larger corporations are selling their product overseas. And these, the smaller corporations they're not even aware of it. And that qualifies as an indirect export in EXIM Bank's eyes. And so let me give you an example of an indirect export. So if you are a company and you're manufacturing tires and you are selling those tires to Ford or GM or even Nissan, the American company, Nissan, on the American side. And they are taking those tires and they are putting those tires on cars, and they are exporting those cars, selling those cars overseas. That can qualify a company for our working capital guarantee program because it's an indirect export. I like to tell companies to find out if you are supplying a larger corporation, find out what they're doing with your product versus just selling to them. Find out the end use of that product, because you could potentially be exporting and you don't even know it. So that's one of the things that I like to, make companies aware of. And also, Nancy, a lot of companies think that they're out of the business for exporting because of the type of business that they're in. And that's simply not true. We support a variety of industries here at EXIM Bank. You will be surprised at the things that can be exported. I've seen things being exported such as used books, used clothes, seafood. We even have a farmer that exports bull semen, and what they're using that for, I have no idea. But there's no limit to what can be exported, even with services. If you are an IT service, you can provide an IT service. You can provide a consulting service, even freight forwarders, and a transportation service. It's no limit to what can be exported.
I was going to say, well, that's just great news. Music to my ears, because a lot of our members or women business owners think, oh, I'm just U.S. based, and there's no way I'll even consider going global because I can't afford it. So we've kind of addressed, the programs and the resources that EXIM Bank has to speak to that as a fear or a challenge. And now to hear that, the variety of types of assistance that you provide, not only to people who have a product that they're selling, but also services that they're selling. So I think a lot of people think that, they can't consider a service in the global realm. So I'm really glad you made that point.
Yes, we have companies that export their services all the time. Especially with the IT service, they have companies overseas that are interested in, our data packages and the things that we do, even infrastructures projects that they have, building across overseas. There are lots of services that can be, considered as an export. And I know, I've given a lot of information, Nancy, and I know it can be a bit overwhelming and a little intimidating, but EXIM Bank, we're here to take the fear out of exporting. My colleagues and I, we're ready and we're waiting, to assist these companies in helping them grow and making sure, as I said earlier, that they have everything that they need so they can, stand up and be successful in the overseas market.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Toya. You have done just that. I'm sure that the people listening to this interview now have a little less fear, because they know they have a good resource with the EXIM Bank. So thank you so much for all you do. And thank you for sharing this great information. And so we'll repeat that the website is www.exim.gov. That's EXIM.gov. And thank you again, Toya. It's been a pleasure speaking with you and learning about all of these wonderful resources.
Thank you, Nancy, and the pleasure is all mine.